Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Reckless Optimist podcast. My name is Megan. I'm a family nurse practitioner with a deep passion for mental health. On this show, we showcase guests who have shown tenacity, grit, mental strength, and who embody the word resilience. A quick disclaimer before we start. This show is not a substitute for mental diagnosis or treatment. We do recommend that if you're struggling with your own emotional well-being, you see a mental health provider. I'm so excited that you guys are here. Let's get into it. Hey everyone. Today on the podcast, we have John. I met John online through the running community. He is an ultra runner like myself, and we just kind of hit it off. He is really passionate about running. He's really just passionate about life. He's a really cool dude with a cool energy. He's actually an aspiring comedian. So he had me cracking up the whole interview. He had some really good quotes. The last thing in the interview he said, I laughed for like 4 minutes. Just wait to the end. But he is a dance dad. He wanted me to make sure I told you guys that first. He has a daughter who's a competitive dancer. He's very involved in her life. He is a caregiver by day. He's also an ultra runner, like I said, a very good runner, a personal trainer, and he's a veteran. So he was in the Navy right around the time of 9/11, which that plays a lot into his story. He is 14 years sober, which is amazing. In his story, we do talk about how being in the Navy and in that type of world around that time, the early 2000s, really upticked his drinking. He started drinking around age 13. He did get into some legal trouble, which ultimately kind of forced him to be sober. But then with the birth of his daughter, he's been able to maintain sobriety ever since without any trouble. It's a really beautiful story. He seems like a really good dad. He found running actually later in life after his divorce, and he has become quite an amazing runner. He has some big aspirations to run some big races. He's already done a 100-mile race. Yeah, he's just got really big, interesting goals. So I know you guys are going to love this episode, so let's get into it. Hey, everyone. Help me welcome John to the podcast.
Hey, how's it going? Good to be here.
I am so glad you're here. Me and John met online through the running community. He is an ultra runner like I am, and we had similar interest, and I thought he would be good for the podcast. It sounds like he has a really cool story. So I'm so excited for you guys to hear it. John, where are you coming in from?
So I'm in Fredericksburg, Virginia today. Just got done with a run and a hike. And yeah, it's good to be here. I'm happy to tell my story.
How many miles did you go today?
So I ran 6. It was like a easy day, just a 6-mile run. And then I did a hike. And I kind of tweaked something. I'm getting a little scared. So I'm going to go to the gym after this and do a little bit of swimming to try to untangle whatever it is going on with my legs.
Yeah.
Hopefully my run tomorrow will be good. I don't like taking days off, but I'm come to the point where I'm 45. If I have to do that, then just gotta bite the bullet. But I really don't like taking days off. But no runners like to rest. You know, we like to keep doing crazy stuff, and that's why I love the community.
I have 2 questions. One is, what are you training for right now? And 2, are you a triathlete?
So I've been talking a lot about triathlons lately. I was training to do the Maryland Ironman in 2020, and I just basically once COVID happened, my gym shut down and everything. You know, so like I haven't really been in the pool to actually train much, other than like playing games, like games with my daughter in the pool. I'd like to at some point become a triathlete, but I'm gonna blame COVID for that one because they shut down the pool and I can swim.
Yeah. So what are you training for right now?
So right now, I'm just trying to get healthy. I had a lot of problems earlier in the year with health. So like right now, I'm trying to qualify for the Boston Marathon with the Marine Corps Marathon in December. And if I finish that, I'm going to try to apply for Badwater 135.
Badwater, that's big goals. I love that. I tried to qualify for Boston for 20 years, and I just qualified in January.
Yeah, it's so like I'm one of those people too. I mean, like my first attempt was 2017. And I've come close a bunch of times, and I feel like I have the fitness now. I didn't do the right training, didn't do the right weight management, eating. Because I mean, with ultras, I eat I'm not gonna lie, I eat a bunch of crap. And like, if you're training for, to actually like run a marathon that fast, you need to at least kind of watch out what you're eating. Just like a lot of the processed foods and stuff. And you have to be committing to different tempo runs and stuff like that. Whereas in ultras, I was like, screw it, whatever today. I think that's why.
Yeah,
I like
the misfits.
Yeah, I think that's why I like ultras, because like the community is just kind of like F it, whatever. Like, yeah, let's eat some tacos and like do a 13-minute pace.
Let's like fuck it up.
Yeah.
Exactly. So The ultra, if you're listening, ultra runners are anyone that runs longer than 26.2 miles. But it's so funny because, like, here you are running ultra marathons, 100-mile races, but it's all about qualifying for Boston. For some reason, that is like the runner's Super Bowl for whatever reason. But it's hard to qualify. I mean, you have to be fast. Like, you can't just run, like, you have to sprint,
Well,
you know?
I think like what I'm going to aim for with Marine Corps Marathon is under 3 hours, like slightly under that. Fastest I've ever done is like I think a 3:16, but my weight's good right now. Like I'm fast. I mean, I kind of had a setback today, but as long as I could get healthy, I think I got the proper mindset. I just actually train and commit, and just actually train like I should be training. I can do it. I've never tried to do that in the past. It's always been like, well, let's just do this 100K or let's do this 100 miler in between my
Right.
training, and like that's not going to work. At least some people could do it. I'm not one of those people. If I have a goal like that, a real specific and hard goal, I have to train strictly for that.
Yeah, you definitely can do it. If you're running a 3:16, if you get a flat course, if you do a good 12-week like hill training, sprint training, do some strength training too. I mean, I will promise you can qualify.
So the Marine Corps Marathon's not totally flat. It's got some like mean, demoralizing hills, especially at the very end. You finish on a hill. That's the most Marine thing I've ever heard in my life.
Right?
Why finish on a hill? But yeah, like is the only thing that scares me is that the logistics for Marine Corps Marathon. Just I'm gonna stay at a friend's house and just to basically try to get there as early as possible. But it's definitely hard. Getting proper rest the night before. Even if you get in the right corral, you're still going to be stuck with a ton of people. Some might slow you down in front of you, and it gets you frustrated at first, but also can help you because it slows you down in the beginning of the race until everyone just kind of like, spaces out or whatever. But yeah, there's some issues with that, but I want to do it Marine Corps Marathon, and it's the 50th Marine Corps Marathon this year.
Oh,
So
wow. That's amazing. What time of year is that? Is it in the fall?
it's in October. Yeah, October.
Okay, so nice weather usually.
Sometimes I've had Marine Corps marathons before, so this is my fourth. I've had some days where it just pours rain the whole time. I've had some days where it's hot. The best one I ever did was in 2018. It was just perfect the whole day. Yeah, but you never. Virginia's crazy. Like right now, it's like hot and cold at the same time here. It's like 50, and I can't tell if it's hot or cold outside. It's just like Virginia is just one of those weird places. The weather is just kind of whatever.
That's so funny. I feel like Georgia's similar.
Yeah, well, I mean,
So we are going to start our episode out with a quote like we do every episode. For yours, I wanted to do a running quote since we were both runners. I am pretty sure you've probably heard of the guy that said this quote, Scott Jurek. Yeah, if you're a runner, you know Scott Jurek. So I read his book, Eat and Run. It's an amazing book about his journey. I actually heard about Scott Jurek from Born to Run. Have you heard of that book? It's like the runner's Bible. Yeah, everyone's probably read that if you're in the running community, especially ultra running. So that book is about like this Mexican tribe and, like the Copper Canyons and how amazing ultra runners they were. I mean, they're like running in sandals and like beating people at Leadville at like 50, 60 years old. So Scott Jurek was one of the people in the book. And I thought he had like this really cool laid back energy. And so he seemed really interesting. So I read his book, which is all about him being a vegan and plant-based and being a phenomenal athlete. And there was a line that he said in this book that stopped me. So this is the quote from the book. "The longer and farther I ran, the more I realized that what I was often chasing was a state of mind, a place where worries that seemed monumental melted away, where the beauty and timelessness of the universe, of the present moment, came into sharp focus." What does that mean to you?
So that's how I got into running completely. Basically, I was going through divorce in 2017, and I'd only run 5Ks with like my mom and like family, like turkey trots and like local races. But I wasn't much for meditating, and I had years of sobriety at that time, but like not following the steps or anything like that in AA. I was looking for something, and that's exactly what I was trying to find. Like, I don't know how. One day I was like, I want to run a marathon. I had been wanting to for a long time, but I don't know how. But just one day I just like, I'm going to do this, and I trained and I ran my first marathon. And I don't even think it was like crush it or anything like that. I definitely wanted to try to BQ at that time, but it was more just for me. Like, I just wanted to find something that would be like meditation, that I could actually get into. Because I mean, I try to do it now, and I'm starting to get more into yoga and meditating right now. But at the time, I just need something different, and running has completely done that for me. Don't get me wrong, I like to compete at times and go for hard goals and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just that state of mind that running puts me in. It just makes me feel like a kid on a playground. Like, it makes me feel pure.
I love that. That's such a great answer. It makes you feel pure. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think intense exercise forces you to be in the present moment. We so often don't live in the present moment. And like when I run, I feel like my passion and my purpose are aligned. It feels like when I'm running, especially like after 2 miles, because it takes me a while to warm up, like it's like a zipper, like every little piece just going into place. And I feel super connected to God and to nature and just like connected energetically to everything around me. I don't know how else to describe it, but I love how there's a quote. It's like at first running feels like pain and then it feels like freedom. And that I resonate with that very much. But thank you for your intake and on that quote. I would love to hear more about your story. You know, I know that you're sober as well. I'm 6 years sober. I heard you're 14 years sober, which is amazing.
I basically got sober because police officers are like, hey, if you don't, you're gonna have a felony next DUI. So that's enough to wake anyone up from what you're doing. I kind of didn't like the notion of tracking the day or anything like that, and just looked at it something like for me. So I mean, like, I don't know, I'm weird like that. I have to do what works for me. I don't like think AA is bad or anything. And I go to meetings at times, like, with family members, and like, if somebody needs me to go, I will always go with them to help them out. I'll always offer to go with somebody that's struggling. But for me, like, I don't know, like, I think it's just the way that I did get sober. I just developed my own weird way. And I've been sober since. I don't have any, with running, there's so much alcohol in the community. Unfortunately, you get a freaking beer on your bib. I mean, on most big races. I mean, that just kind of says it all right there. Yeah. I mean, like, I've never had problems meeting up with bars. Like, I've been at ambassador races before. We meet at bars. I mean, maybe at first that kind of made me feel uneasy, but I'm weird enough. I'm probably weirder than them drunk. So like, I've got that going for me. I can still kind of fit in, and yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable with who I am. And,
I feel like there's so many ways to get sober and to be sober. There's not just one way. So however you want to do it, I mean, it sounds like whatever's working for you is working. But yeah, take us back to the beginning of your story and wherever you want to start.
Yeah, so I kind of talked about earlier, I was going through a pretty messy divorce at the time, and it was dark. I needed something. And I I started training for a marathon with like very minimal gears, some random shoes. I had this pair of like fashion sneakers. They weren't even running shoes, but I just started training with those. And I didn't have a watch either. I had a step counter. I don't know what I was doing. I had a step counter, and I would just like do math and stuff to figure things out. I just trained. I did the Newport News One City Marathon for my first. I think I only had like maybe right at the 3 month mark to train for it. Just when I went on a whim, I was like, I'm gonna sign up for this race. I mean, I didn't do great, but I didn't do bad either. I got a 4 hour marathon, that's not bad. I mean, like for a step counter, and like, I also like, as much as I liked the experience, like, how it helped my mental health to run, I was listening to music too. And it wasn't like calm music either. It was like heavy metal, like Pantera and stuff like that. So, I mean, like, it was relaxing at the time, but I think like just like changing a few things, on my next few like training cycles and stuff for other races kind of helped me kind of fine tune. But my second race, I was such an idiot. This is like my second race. I was just looking up stuff. I was like, okay, this is the next one. It's in Roanoke. It's a trail race, but that's probably the same as road. I'm just gonna sign up for this one. No idea what I was getting to on the trails. I just thought it was going to be like a road race. So I see people like walking hills and stuff. I'm like, what are these people doing? Why do they have to do that? And then I quickly figured out that you need to do that on trail races because, it's a lot hillier, and you're going to get tired if you run up that stuff. So, I met up with this lady, very kind woman, Melinda, and she showed me how to kind of run trails like on that race. And I finished it, and, I fell in love with the trail community. Basically, my next trail race after that was the Barkley Fall Classic, and I contacted Melinda.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I made kind of a weird jump to ultras, but like
yeah, that's a huge race. Yeah.
Well, this isn't the big one. This is like a smaller version. It's the 50K,
okay.
But still, it's on the Barkley course, and it still lasts.
Yeah.
And it's still dangerous, and you could probably die there. But anyway, I signed up for that. I thought it was the big one. I was like, oh, we got to find the book pages and all that. But like, Melinda put me in touch with this guy, Eric, and I didn't know Eric at all. And she was like, can you pick him up and drive him to Tennessee with you? I was like, sure. So like that right there tells you everything you need to know about the ultra community. I met this woman once at a race. She like puts me in contact with this guy I do not know at all, and I drive to Tennessee with him. That's pretty much ultra running right there. So I
love it.
Yeah, that's the community right there. That's the people. And I hope it never changes. It is changing, but yeah, I hope we still keep that kind of like stuff alive. These are my people. I was like, I'm a broken toy, and these are my people. And so I quickly identified that the more screwed up races you do, like Barkley, or like any of those other ones, like, Manitou's Revenge, Badwater races, stuff like that, you're going to find like the coolest people you've ever met before. Like people like kind of like the military, like that kind of crazy, but like cool also, like accepting, like understanding your situation. A lot of them are recovering alcoholics, not all of them, but like there's you'll find some broken people out there that at least I can identify with. So I felt like this is my community. And yeah, basically I rolled with that for a long time, just signing up, doing race after race after race. And everything was going good until like, I got into a relationship with somebody. I'm not going to touch too much on this, but it is part of the story. I got into a relationship with somebody and it kind of changed me. It was intense and I started getting really sick, injured, and my friend unfortunately passed away also that I did a lot of races with. So I had a lot of stuff going on. I'm a caregiver also. That's a hard job. So like I kind of was like struggling with on multiple fronts, and I just had to kind of just take care of me. I basically hit the reset on a lot of things in my life this year, basically. And I'm looking to move forward and getting not completely crazy like I used to, because I mean, that's not good for your body either. Do all those races. As much as you love the community, you got to space out some and actually train and eat right. So I'm trying to take care of myself better now, and I've got some real ambitious goals moving forward, but smart. I'm gonna do it smartly. But I think that this, my friend dying, and then just the tough relationship with my former girlfriend, and just it just kind of opened my eyes, and I think it's going to ultimately make me a better person. I still struggle, of course, but I'm very optimistic about the way things are going with me now. And I was just in a really dark place pretty much the last couple of years, so it's been a struggle, but I'm really feeling optimistic about the future.
That's awesome. It's so good to continue to have goals and things to look forward to. And like, you still have so much potential in you. I mean, our speed eventually goes away as we age, but our endurance lasts really long. I mean, you see some of these endurance athletes and they're in their late 50s, you know?
I get smoked by 60 and 70-year-olds. Yeah, it's awesome. It's motivational, and I hope that I can, I hope I can do that.
Yeah, Rich Roll talks about, you know who Rich Roll is, the triathlete. He has his own podcast, but he talks about how he didn't reach his athletic peak until 48, 49, 50. So there's lots of talent still out there and, time to be had. I wanted to ask you some questions. So how do you think like alcohol use disorder correlates with ultra running and that type of world? Do you think there's any correlation there?
Yeah, for me, I can't speak to others, but for me, I think I used alcohol to mask a lot of my problems with life. And I think when I do long runs or just any run out, when I'm out there by myself, basically I unpack a lot of the stuff that happened over the years and just kind of brings me a lot of clarity. And I think for me, basically the last couple of years, I haven't been running by myself a lot. I was running like just doing races, doing group runs, and group runs and everything are fine. But for me personally, I have to do some runs by myself just alone, just so I can just, I have to find my own peace. Cause like if I'm with other people too much, I don't get that me time. Running has been such a good, like, again, I'd be using like as my meditation, as kind of just my, just my relaxation. When you have other people around, even if they're not like egotistical or anything like that, talking about racing and like achievements the whole time, I mean, you still need your own personal time. I think I neglected that a lot the last couple of years. So for me, I think I get so addicted to ultra running because it just helps bring me clarity. And like, I just like being alone out there. I mean, sometimes it's scary. Like my first race this year, it was a DNF. I tried to do a 200-mile race that my friend Tony and I did the previous year. We both finished the 100. And when I got out
Which race
there,
was that, if you don't mind me asking?
the Wild Oak Trail
Wild Oak
100.
Trail. Okay.
This year I did I attempted to do 200, but like my mind was poisoned. I mean, like I just had so much stuff going on. I was thinking about Tony a lot out there because, we ran the same race last year. I was in a completely different state of mind when I was doing that. I was like happy, or happier, I should say. Yeah. So like, I think if you're going to like a longer race or just even like a long run or even like a shorter run just by yourself, if you're not like, if your heart's not pure and you got a lot of poison in your head, it's hard to do anything out there. It's just tough. So like, I think, get that, I had to work a lot of things out after that. And, I was trying to hold on a lot to, the way things were that weren't working for me. I even tried to like, fix things that I knew that weren't good for me, but I still tried anyway after that, just because I was, I was like devastated after that race. But yeah,
The fact that you were trying to even attempt it, though, is amazing. I mean, 100 miles is like amazing. And then to add another 100 to that, like,
well,
that's wild.
I mean, like I was in a good place last year. I mean, like I finished the 100 last year, and then I mean, I knew better that this was going to be hard because I had pneumonia in December. This race was in like late January, I think, or early February, and I knew I was gonna have problems with it, but I wanted to be out there because Tony and I did that race a lot, and I wanted to be out there, for his memory, and it was tough. Yeah, I wasn't ready for it, and I mean, like sometimes you need to get ass kicking, and that was definitely it. Like that was a wake up call, and it did send me into kind of a depression spiral, but you have to get yourself back up from that, and you have to move on, and you have to live today. You have to figure that out.
Yeah. I love what you said about running alone. I myself am an extroverted extrovert, right? So I love people. I get energy from people. However, I am like you. I very much enjoy running alone. Like I'll run with people sometimes, but there's something really powerful and, like you said, meditative about a run and clearing your head. And I've heard this before from therapists, but like it's almost a form of EMDR, like that repetitive movement of your feet helps you process your problems and work through things. So there's something to it.
But definitely, I mean, I love running with people, and I love conversating. I love like telling. So I'm an aspiring comedian. I haven't really done like open mic nights too much or anything, but like I love making people laugh in a group run. Like that's like your time to like you can just throw them out there, and no matter what, even if you like stink, people are still gonna probably laugh at it because you're at least putting effort to make like conversation. Like yeah, I love that part of it, but that's something I really learned last year. Like as much as I like doing that, if I overly do it, it does hurt me. Like I need that time by myself, and I need to be training, like especially like the longer runs. Like I've always struggled doing solo long runs. Like I've been that guy that signs up for races instead to do that. And for some people that works, but for me and like goals I have coming up, I have to be able to run the pace I need to by myself. Like that just kind of works for me. Because if I'm by myself when it comes to race day, it's not as hard, like you're around other people. That's the party time. You put in the work, and that's your time to shine right there.
Yeah. And you live and you learn.
That's
I
right.
wanted to ask you, if I'm doing the math right, it sounds like you got sober pretty young. I mean, you were 30. Am I getting close?
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
what was it, 30, 31, something like that, somewhere in that range. But my daughter was born very shortly after I got sober. So like, I think that's been my motivation also not to do any drinking and drugging. I gotta, I
Yeah.
gotta, I gotta be a good role model. And I think it's, I think it's paid off. I question at times though, like my daughter's seen me do some crazy races, like 100-mile races, all kinds of stuff. And, she's that like tenacious about her dancing. Like she's that like driven, like the way like I am. And it does scare me too, because I see it in her. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Is this healthy? But like, it's better than her doing other bad activities. So like, I think it's good, but I do question it too. I'm like, oh, is this okay for an 11-year-old? Because she's so into dance. That's one thing I love about kids when they start doing their own sports and stuff like that. Once they hit like 11, and I've struggled with this like in the past. Like I've gotten depressed on races before. Like just I have a lot of guilt like when it comes to if I try to do stuff for myself. Like if I go to a race and my daughter's not there or something like that, that's tough. Like once your kids start getting older, and I've had to again cut back on races because I want to be there with my daughter for competitions and stuff like that. And it's tough. Like friends don't understand it, and you have like going back to what I talked about earlier. I had to cut some people off just because they're still my friends and stuff, and I hope one day we can like run again to get together. Yeah, I mean, like my kid comes first, and I've had to really restructure my racing schedule just to be around my daughter more.
You bring up a really interesting topic. You're talking about your daughter and her passion, and you hope it stays with like the good things. But I mean, you see a lot of that in people who have alcohol use disorder or addictions in general. And, I think there's a stigma that, people that are addicts or whatever are lazy or dumb, whatever there is. But actually, they're probably more extremely driven and passionate than anything. And that's why they don't stop, because they're so like stubborn in a sense that, okay, well, I can fix this. I can fix this. I can fix this. And that's where they don't ask for help. And it's kind of a whole spiral.
It's
But yeah, I
nature.
mean, I think if you keep showing your daughter like healthy examples of extremism, like you're doing, then I think that she'll be okay.
I think yeah, sports main thing, but yeah, you bring up a good point. Like, and I even think about like the addiction side to that too. Like that is kind of scary to think about. Like who you select as a partner for a relationship, recreational drugs, alcohol, just hanging out with certain people. There's so many different like challenges and like scary things like that can pop into your life. So yeah, I fear for her, but I feel like she's very smart from doing sports and being around the right people, because like dancers are all driven. Like they're all 24/7. They're like runners. I mean, they're so ambitious. They're go-getters. I'm confident she's gonna make the right decisions just because she's been hanging out with so many people or so many like positive influences since she was 2. So I hope at some point, if she does do a race with me in the future, we run the Marine Corps Marathon together. That would, if we did that, I could just pretty much like, I could probably quit running. That would be all I needed. No, seriously,
Yeah,
I could
that's
probably quit.
beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. I used to run with my dad as well. He's passed away, but that was part of my drive to qualify for Boston is because he ran it by invitation only back in the early 70s. and he ran it in 3:10.
Nice.
And I don't think I'll ever run that fast. I don't know, maybe one day. I shouldn't say no.
Yeah,
But
never. Yeah.
yeah, that's so interesting. And I love what you were talking about with your daughter. I have twins that are 9 and a 15-year-old. And at some point, at some age, you have to like step back and just let them make their own mistakes. And that is so hard to do.
It is. Yeah, I mean, like, it's also tough to like. What gets me sad about like kids in sports is outside influences that make them not be able to do a sport like they like. I mean, pretty much any sport you name, I had her try out to see if she liked it. Basketball, I had to try out everything. But yeah, she's a dancer. That's her.
I think that it's so good for kids to do sports because it teaches them discipline and it teaches them drive and it teaches them how to be a member of a team. And I think those are really good skills for kids to learn, especially young.
Yeah, it's and again, most kids in these sports, especially like I said, dance, they're driven kids. They're good influences. It's just it's a lot healthier way to live. And I wish I would have been more involved in sports when I was younger. I wish I would have like gotten like done stuff like cross country. That's a regret probably I'll have to the grave. Not trying to do better in school. I was going back to alcohol and stuff like that. I was a dope. I was an idiot. I could have done a lot of things with running and being on cross country and track, and I didn't go for it, and I really regret that. And I hope that I haven't told my daughter that side of my story yet, but I hope that basically she doesn't go down my path. And I'm not gonna be like, I'm scared to like use that to kind of scare her or anything like that. I mean, if she has problems when she gets older, like I did, and she might, like you mentioned, with the the addictive personality and stuff like that, she could, but I would be happy to tell her.
Yeah, I mean, I have an addictive personality but now I'm addicted to healthy things, right? So reading and meditating and running and eating healthy and you can really flip that switch in the positive direction. It's not always a bad thing to have that addictive personality. I wanted to ask you a few more follow-up questions. So, did you start drinking really young or was it something that happened later in life?
I'm gonna say like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, smoke cigarettes, all kinds of just stupid stuff. I mean, like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, life came at you fast. Yeah. And then I love how you have become a runner later in life. Am I correct? You weren't a runner when you were younger?
So I did it off and on. So the military planted the seed of me being a runner. I mean, I did it off and on. I think I ran track for like a little bit in like middle school, but by the time I was in high school, I was like a lost cause. I think most people were getting up on me, and like I just wasn't into it. I was one of those people that like most people knew were going to join the military or something like that, and that's what I kind of like knew, like that's what the path I was going to go for a long time. So I didn't really care about high school. The military, you have to take a physical readiness test, and I mean, unfortunately, a lot of those tests I was drunk, but like or hungover, smoking cigarettes while I was running.
Right.
That kind of madness. But I mean, I could still do it, and like I wasn't the greatest at, but it came pretty easy to me considering my lack of training and stuff like that. I mean, you can make the case that set me up for ultra running, but
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, like that planted the seed, and then after that, I did every now and then, and it wasn't until the divorce I was like, you know what, it kind of all came together. Like this is what I like to do. I just
Hmm.
gotta stop being a bum and do it, and start living life.
Yeah. So you were in the Navy, is that right? Thank you for your service.
Like yeah.
How long were you in the Navy for?
What was I think it's about 5 years.
Okay. Yeah. What was that like as a young person?
Wild. So like when I joined, everyone in boot camp, like my instructors and stuff, are like, this is going to be the easiest job you've ever had. You were never going to have another Vietnam. You're never going to get into a war. This is going to be so, you're lucky. You have all this. What happens right after boot camp? The Cole gets bombed, and then September 11th. So like nothing they taught us in boot camp could prepare us for that. I mean, the way we were before, right before, basically, when I was in boot camp, everything was like, in terms of like war and stuff like that, it was everything was chill. I mean, that I joined the military. I wanted the GI Bill and like, stuff like that, the benefits. I wasn't thinking that, we were going to go to war or anything like that. And it was rough. I mean, like I was on my first deployment during September 11th, and then basically, yeah, I mean, we barely got off the ship after that. I couldn't meet anyone out in town. I mean, basically like during a period where like, I might have been able to start a family, find somebody out in town and marry, have kids. Couldn't leave the ship because we had so much work to do. We were constantly getting underway. Or if we did get to go out, it was like, maybe one evening or something like that. It was very difficult. And, a lot, that's where a lot of my drinking, I'm not going to like blame stuff. I'm ultimately responsible, but I think the stress of that whole situation really, it wasn't healthy.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, and there's probably a big drinking culture, in the Navy and that whole world as well. And then you add in a war, and having to be deployed and the stress of all of that. Yeah, it definitely could compound.
It was like, looking back, it was crazy. Like, so we were lucky to have a barracks in Pearl Harbor. Like, we got to live in the barracks off the ship when we weren't working. Because we were so tired from working and like, we didn't want to go out in town. So on base, they have like the exchange liquor everywhere. So like a lot of times we would just go there, get a bunch of like booze or something and then just go to the barracks and just like party crazily and then just go back to work like completely obliterated, just hungover. I mean, like, part of me, it was an interesting experience just like living that lifestyle for a while, like just traveling all over the place. I mean, I've been all around the world. I value the experience, but it was very difficult and I could have handled it a lot better. But I also know that there were things outside of my control, and I accept the accountability for what I did. But at the same time, like, we were in a very unique situation that had not, I mean, before I joined the Navy, it wasn't like that. Like, things were a lot better worldly. But yeah, it was a very interesting situation, and I wanted to say I'm much better for it, but not at the time. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to give yourself some grace. You did the best that you could at that time with the tools that you had. So, I mean, and you probably learned a whole lot through all of those experiences.
Being early 20s in Hawaii around 9/11 in the military is like, I don't know what to compare that to. It was a completely different world than what I was, used to living in Virginia, that young and just being away from family and just being able to start drinking and so much stress from like, 9/11 and then like, just everything that comes with being a young 20-year-old. It was tough.
Is rehab part of your story, or did you not have to go to rehab?
So I did. And, I know in my heart that if I need to reach out and go to an AA meeting or something or talk to somebody, the help is out there. And I've been to AA meetings, like I said, with my cousin, a few weeks back when I was in Florida. But if I did feel like I was that depressed and I would reach out for a drink, I would definitely seek help.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you have so much time. What was that first year like for you in recovery? Like, how did you get through that first year? Because, you don't have any substances to numb the feeling. So what were you like that first year?
So this is an interesting thing. I met my former spouse then. I mean, like, we had a tough marriage. It didn't work out. And part of it is because, you know, is that first year, I didn't know who I was. I was coming off of just like binge drinking for, decades, basically. I didn't know who I was. Looking back, it wasn't fair to her because, I'm figuring myself out, but she helped me out a lot. She helped take me to meetings and was there for me. And yeah, I mean, like, I think I owe a lot to her with that. And, just also having my daughter. I mean, like, once having kids, I know a lot of people are like, kids are so much money and blah, blah, blah. It's so much stress. But like, having my daughter changed my life. Like, I'm thankful for her and just, see her do her sports and, having a child is like, basically it saved my soul. I think, that more than anything, I think that if I didn't have a kid, then yes, I would probably need more treatment and have to go to AA. But this might sound really lame, but my kid is basically my therapy. That's my joy and my love right there.
That makes me tear up. I think that's so beautiful. And what a gift, to be sober for her whole life. I mean, I've had some people on and I've done some different episodes where a lot of people regret their drinking in their early days when their kids were young because they missed out on so much. But you had the opportunity to be sober her whole life. And, that is such a good example for your daughter as well, to see you not using any substances because so many adults do, So I think you were a really good role model for her.
I hope so. Yeah, she's never seen me take a drink. The only thing she's seen me do excessively is the running I do. But I think, again, I question that sometimes because she's going to be like, that's going to carry over to her dancing and stuff. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. But, it's something to be mindful of just in case, because that personality can definitely lead to darker things. But yeah, I think all around, she's gonna do well.
I think if you look historically, though, anyone, athlete, politics, however, any arena, the most successful people were completely obsessed. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to be completely obsessed with what you're passionate about.
Yeah, and that, I mean, like, a lot of like famous ultra runners, I mean, like all the quotes, like, Dean Karnazes has a bunch.
I love him.
Yeah, you have to fall in love. To me, like I wouldn't do a sport that I didn't love like as much as running. Like why even bother? Like that
Hmm.
that's why I get injured all the time because like it pains me if I can't do it, and I have to
Hmm.
really I have to dig deep not to run. That sounds like a total alcoholic speaking, but it's the truth.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I feel very similar. I think that's awesome though. I'm glad you found something that you're passionate about. Some people never find anything that they're passionate about. So to have something that brings you that much joy that's healthy and that's a good example, I mean, I say run with it, literally. I wanted to bring up Scott Jurek one more time though, because have you heard about his epic legendary Badwater win? So
Yeah.
this man at halfway through the race, which Badwater is a 135-mile race in Death Valley. They have to wear white suits and white shoes so that they don't, and they have to run on the white part of the road so their shoes don't melt. I mean, it's the most insane endurance challenge. Anyway, this man, the guy that said the quote, how we opened the episode, he was like, I don't know, sixth place or something in an ice tub about to die of heat exhaustion. And somehow, like, I mean, the winner was probably like 20 miles ahead of him. I don't know the exact details. This man ends up winning this entire race. I don't know how he came back from it. I think he flipped a switch in his mind, but I want to tap into whatever he did.
So what I like about ultra running, I mean, there's so many different factors like that. I mean, I haven't won a bunch of races. I've won some ultras before. I've came like in the podium, but there's so much that go on. And ultra running is the only sport I've ever seen people that get so tired they just go to the side of the trail or the road, like in Badwater. You see people taking dirt naps and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. People, vomiting, peeing blood. I mean, like people, like it's hard to really like. There's so many variables, and there's so many different levels of motivation throughout a race. Like people just turn it on, and like you could see a guy laying down and like like a cat on the side of the road, like just like out of it, and then like they win the race. Like
Yeah.
that stuff's great. Like I'm like I thought that guy was dead back there, and like, you don't see that in any other sport, and I love it. I mean, like
Yeah.
it fires me up. Like just thinking about that kind of stuff because if I get hurt or anything like that, I think back to the situations like that. I love seeing people's varying levels of motivation. It's great.
Have you heard of the book Endure by Alex Hutchinson?
I have not.
Add that to your list. But they talk about exactly what you just talked about, how there's something in your mind. It's actually more your mind than anything else that gets you through those types of things, and how powerful your thoughts can be in your mind. Even if you didn't train, like, your mind can get you there. And I think that's fascinating. I mean, you might get injured, but your mind can take you there.
Honestly, like for a while, and I hope I get this back, but for a while that was almost like a drug to me. Like that's why I kept signing up for ultras because like I love that feeling. Like I love the pain cave and just trying to crawl out of it. It's almost dangerous how addictive that is right there. And you know, um hopefully I can manage that well in the future. But like again, my daughter is doing a lot of her own sports, so my hands kind of guided on that. But yeah, that's some powerful stuff right there. And it is hard for like especially beginning ultra runners like that start getting that bug and that itch. It's sometimes I'm jealous when I see that in people. Like when I don't have that or I'm injured or like I know I can't go out to like a race because I'm doing stuff with my kid. I'm like, man, I wish I could do that. Oh,
Yeah, for the
wish that
first
was
time.
in me right now. Like I think I'm not a jealous person, but that's like something that it's a way of mind you want to be in. It's
Hmm.
awesome. I love it.
I think most people avoid pain, and the avoidance of pain and the constant seeking of pleasure is what keeps people hurt and trapped and miserable and depressed. So, what you're doing by seeking out pain and applied suffering isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's probably a life hack.
Yeah, I mean, like ultra runners, they've got a dark sense of humor. It's very much like the military. Like people make jokes about this so much. Like, maybe I hate myself. Maybe I want to die. Like, why do I do this sport? I was way out of control back there. I don't know how I got through this. Like it's just funny. Like you're just like, I paid to go to Death Valley and just run through it, in a spacesuit. Like, why do I do these things? I love it. It's funny.
Right. I think that it embodies a sense of overcoming. And that's why you see a lot of addicts or people who've had trauma in their life kind of go into that ultra running world because it's very similar to that. And then that type of behavior, like overcoming things that one, you never thought you could do or that most people think is impossible. I mean, you ask the person, do you think you could run 100 miles in 24 hours? They would be like, hell no. So those types of things, it translates to your everyday life, and then it makes you feel like you can do anything else. I don't know. I feel like it's a really good quality.
It's so funny talking to people. You get like one of three responses. They're like, I don't even like to drive that far, or I only go out there like, I only run if a bear's chasing me, or just like you've heard them all. But I try to tell people like it's not that hard to actually do that. I mean, if you like running, and if you don't even have to like running. Like sometimes I question if I even like running, or I just like that pancake stuff. Like
Right.
the addiction behind it. Like I ask myself that all the time. Like what's real here? Like I've always kind of liked running, but when I was younger, I always looked at running as like a component of a sport. I never looked at it as an actual sport. But yeah, it's kind of mind blowing, but at the same time, I try to encourage everyone to like, if not running and you really hate running, figure out whatever your passion is. And going back to what we said earlier, fall in love with it and just let it take you down wherever it's going to take you.
Yeah, I love that. Well, we have come to our lightning round of the episode. So I ask the same 5 questions to every guest that's on the show. So you can answer these in 1 to 5 minutes. And let me find my list. Here we go. Okay, so you're given 3 options. You have to pick one. The first 3. So here are the 3. Would you rather shark dive, bungee jump, or skydive?
I was talking about this to a friend today. I want to go skydiving. I'm terrified of heights. This is going to sound so corny. I love the movie Point Break as a kid. Amazing film. So like there's that aspect. I would not want to do bungee jumping because I think that's awful. That coming up part would be bad. And then the shark thing, I wouldn't be scared to do that, but I just think it's boring. Like I know it's not, but I'd rather skydive. That's like to me a thrill because I'm afraid of heights. I'm definitely afraid of heights. So that would definitely push me the most. And that's the one I'm going to pick. Whatever pushes me the hardest.
Okay, I love it. I love it. All right, number 2, you're in a simulation. Every time you walk into a room, a song plays. What song is your song?
By what is it? Steely Dan from Yacht Rock. It's sincere, like
Yeah.
usually like it's like a really genuine dude trying to get back with some girl or something. And Yacht Rock is really good. I would want to listen to Yacht Rock anytime I come in. But like Yacht Rock song, like who's the guy that did the Top Gun soundtrack? He has a really nice beard. He could be an ultra runner. What's that guy's name?
Okay.
Kenny freaking Loggins. Yeah, like some Kenny Loggins. Yeah, anything Yacht Rock.
Okay, I like it. All right, number 3. What is your favorite Disney movie? I know you have a daughter, so I know you've seen some Disney movies.
I've seen some Disney movies. I will say Moana because it's an adventure. I love the water. I love Hawaii. I was stationed in Hawaii. And I would say Moana.
I totally agree. The soundtrack to Moana 1 is legendary. Didn't love the soundtrack to Moana 2, but Moana 1, very, very good.
We still listen to it, but I prefer the original.
Yeah. And there's so many good life lessons in that movie too about keeping our earth healthy. All right, number 4. What is something you're obsessed with?
There's a couple avenues I want to do more stand up. Just getting in front of people on a microphone, I think that's really good for anybody. Just to kind of like see where you're at. I guess with just like your nerves and just trying to see what you can make out of a situation with nothing, just but your thoughts. I think there's something really cool about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then also competitive eating because I run so much. I've always wanted to try this, but it never works out time wise because I'm so busy. And if I am doing something, it's usually a race. But I've always wanted to do the Benny's challenge. We have a pizza place here called Benny Vitale's. They do well. Actually, it's not at this location. That's another thing. It's only certain locations. But if you eat the whole pie in 28 minutes, and this is a giant pizza, it's like the size of like a table or something. But if you eat the whole pizza in 28 minutes, then I think you get some kind of cash prize and that T-shirt. I don't even care about that stuff. I just want to see if I can do that because
the T-shirt.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw down and see if I can make the ranks of the competitive eaters.
That's so interesting. I don't know a lot about that world. I thought it was always hot dogs, but I guess it's pizza, huh?
They have something called Major League Eating. Like Joey Chestnut is in it, and all those like all stars. But yeah, basically, they have wings, they have pizza, they have every kind of food. I think I could do it, especially if I do like a long run before I head up there, and I just go in there kind of like woozy and dying from lack of food. I could just destroy it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so good to try new things, and that sounds like something new and different. So go for it. I like to have big goals, so I think that's awesome.
Got it.
All right, last question, number 5. What does freedom mean to you?
Immediately when you asked that, I thought being alone, just being solo on a run. Like to me, I have to be with people in life. Don't get me wrong. Like there's people I love in this world. I can't be alone my whole life, but at the same time, I have to make time for me. I think total freedom is to be able to balance that out, like identifying and having your loved ones be able to know that you need that time too and understand that and basically being able to balance your life.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. I like that answer. Because I can relate to that. I know the power I feel when I'm alone and I'm running and it's just me.
Yeah, I think that if you're trying to please somebody or like a group of people, too much, you lose yourself, you drain yourself, and you have to have people in this world that will identify that you need your alone time.
I think when I'm envisioning this right now, but a lot of times I feel like Forrest Gump. Sometimes I literally will be on a run and I'm like having a bad day, bad week, whatever. And I'm like, I literally just want to run across America, like alone.
I mean, that honestly, like out of friendships or relationships, if somebody doesn't like Forrest Gump, that's an automatic red flag for me. Dude, like, how could you not like that movie? First off, and second, if you're a runner and don't like that movie, there's something wrong with you. I'm sorry. I'm not here to talk trash about people or like give you film reviews. Yeah, it's a wholesome, nice movie, and I think that's what it's a lot about. Like when he does that, he just needs to be alone. He's got a lot of shit to sort out there, you know. I think a lot of people can relate to that, myself included, and
That's hilarious.
it's
That
true.
is so, so funny. I know I asked my therapist one time, I was like, is that a normal thing to feel that? But I might have to use what you just said. If you don't like Forrest Gump, that's a red flag. That is so funny.
I mean, okay, so of every friendship and relationship I've had, when the person has said that they didn't like Forrest Gump, it never worked
It
out.
didn't work out. Yeah, how could it? What kind of person are you?
You're a maniac. Okay, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that, but it's true.
That is so funny. So, so funny. Well, what a way to end the episode. You have been a joy. It's so cool to hear your story. I just am impressed. You really like completely turned your life around, and that is extremely admirable. So, thank you for sharing your story. And I think when people, share their story and their vulnerabilities, it gives other people hope and it gives them, something to strive for, healthy striving. So, thank you for being open and honest and vulnerable with everyone.
That's why I came on. I wanted to share that. And anyone struggling out there like I was, I hope that you can identify with this podcast. And it's not permanent. Just think about today and get out of the situation. Make your life better for you.
Awesome. Love it. All right. Well, you have a great day. Good luck with all of your goals.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye.